Hey Cardinals, today we're going to work on multiplicative comparisons. Multiplicative comparisons, fancy words, meaning we're going to compare two things, okay? We're going to use multiplication, right, to compare them. This and this. How many times as many as this is this? Multiplicative comparison, okay? A lot of times when you compare things, you use what's called an additive comparison. She has 6 more donuts than he does. Okay, he's 2 feet taller than his little brother. You compare with an additive comparison where you can subtract the 2 and find the difference. This is going to be a multiplicative where we're using multiplication to do that. What does it look like? It looks something like this. If I have student A and student B, and student A has 2 cookies, and I know that student B has 4 times as many as A, you're comparing A's number 4 times. Okay? B's number is 4 times that of A. In other words, it's A 4 times over. So if A has 2 cookies, B is going to have that same 2 cookies, but he's going to have it 4 times. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 times as many as A. So B would end up having 8 because 2 times 4, 4 times 2 is 8. So there would be 8 cookies here. Okay? I'm going to go through 4 different kinds of problems that you'll see when asked about multiplicative comparison. What you've got to be able to do is you've got to be able to identify what's the larger of the two. As you read, you've got to be able to say, all right, this is the big person and this is the smaller one. This is the big group and that's the small group. Because once you do that, if you can identify that with multiplication and division, the two go together, okay? If you can identify the big number, you should know that small times small will equal the big number, okay? The number of groups times the number in the group will give you the product, the big number, okay? The big number divided by a small number will give you another small number, okay? So if you know the big number and one of the small numbers, you're going to use division to find the other small number. Does that make sense? If you can read and identify what's the big number, do I know the big number and a small number, then I'm going to divide to find the other small number. Or do I know the 2 small numbers and I have to multiply to find the big number? Make sense? I'll talk you through it as we go through. Okay? All right. But we're going to use multiplication and division because we're using multiplicative comparisons. Take a look at number 1. Number 1 says James has 6 marbles. Sarah has 5 times as many marbles as James. How many marbles does Sarah have? Okay, so one thing I want you to do when you're doing a comparative comparison problem like this is label who the groups are and put down what you know. So I have James and I have Sarah. Who do I know from the problem? Who do I know? I know James. James has 6. Okay? Sarah has more than him. So who's going to be the big number? Is it going to be James or is it going to be Sarah? Sarah is going to be the big number. Do I know what it is? I don't, do I? I know the small numbers. I know the 6, and I know I'm going to have that 6 how many times? She has how many times as many? She has his number times 5. And I'm going to get her number, which is the big one. She has more than him, okay? So I'm going to use multiplication here. Her number is James's times 5. Well, what is 6 times 5? 6 times 5 is 30. So how many does she have? She would have 30 in this case. Okay? She's the big number. Make sense? All right, let's take a look at the next one. Marco has 2 donuts. Eliana has 12 donuts. How many times as many donuts does Eliana have as Marco? Okay. How many times as many does she have as he has? All right? Who are my 2 people? Marco and Eliana. Who do I know? Do I know Marco? Yes, as Marco has 2. Do I know Eliana? Yeah, I do. Eliana has 12. Who's the big number? Eliana's the big number, and I know it this time, don't I? So if I know the big number, am I going to multiply? No, because that would give me an even bigger number. So I'm going to do what here? I want to find out how many times as many this is as this. I'm going to have to use division, aren't I? Okay? Because the thing I don't know, and I'm going to put the letter N for the thing I don't know how many times as many that is to give me her 12. So I can rearrange this, right? Right? Multiplication and division make fact families. I can rearrange this and write 12 divided by 2, and that's going to give me what? 6. She has 6 times as many as Marco does. Okay, she has 6 times as many. Let's take a look at number 3. Number 3, Brian has 20 comics, which is 4 times as many comics as Leo. How many comics does Leo have? Again, who are my two people? I've got Brian and I've got Leo. Who do I know? Brian. Brian has 20. Okay? Leo, I don't know. I'm going to put an N for Leo because I don't know what he has. But I'm going to use that in a number sense. N is just holding the place for the number I don't know. All right? Who has the bigger number? Who's got the big number? Brian has 4 times as many as Leo. Brian has 4 times what Leo has. Brian's is the big number. So if I know the big number, I can use division, right? His number is 4 times as many as Leo's. I don't want to multiply 20 times 4 because that'll give me a huge number. And that would give Leo more than Brian. That's not what it says. So I'm going to use division here. Brian's number divided by that 4 times as many will give me that N. What is 20 divided by 4? Leo's going to have 5. Leo's going to have 5. Okay? And every once in a while, you get a problem like this one coming up where you're not going to know either of the numbers. Let's take a look at this one. Ruby has 3 times as many hair bows as Lily. Together, they have 44 hair bows. How many hair bows does Ruby have? Let's label. Okay? Ruby and Lily. Do I know Ruby's amount? Nope. Do I know Lily's amount? No. Now, in a situation like this, one of those two people is going to be the N. They're going to be the one that we don't know. And I know what you're saying, I don't know either one. But in this case, it says Ruby has 3 times as many hair bows as Lily. In this case, Lily is going to be my N, and here's why. When I put N for Lily, now I know what I can put for Ruby. Not a number, but look, Ruby has 3 times as many. If her number is N, Ruby's going to be 3 times N. Does that make sense? Whatever her number is, she's going to have 3 times as many. If she has 1, she's going to have 3 times 1. If she has 4, she's going to have 3 times 4. So does that make sense to put N here and then 3 times N? Are you with me there? Okay? Now, if I put them together, right? Together, they have 44 hair bows. All right? Well, let's stop a minute. Let's figure out how many N's we have all together. Remember that 3 times N, right? Anytime you multiply, it's like repeated addition. That's like saying N plus N plus N. With me? Right? 3 N's. Her amount 3 times. Yeah? Okay? So how many N's, if I put them together, how many N's does that give me all together? Gives me 4. Her 3 and hers. So 4 N's, 4 times N is going to give me that total of 44. And now I can switch that around, right? Or you might know that answer. I hope you know it already. Now I can switch that around to division and do 44 divided by 4, and that will give me N, which is 11. Now we're not done. Hold on. That gives me 11. N is 11. We're not finished with the problem. Okay? N is 11, right? So Lily has how many? 11. But the question doesn't ask about Lily. The question asks about Ruby. Well, Ruby was 3 times N. Do we know what N is now? Yeah, now N is 11. 3 times 11 is 33. And that would be my answer. That would be my answer. A lot more work in that one, right? You can use N to show one person and then 3 times N to show the comparison to that person. Does that make sense? If not, rewind and go back and see if you watching it again will help you make some sense of it, okay? All right, gang. These just take practice. You got to listen in class, you got to pay attention to the video, and you got to work on it the best you can, all right? Click on the link. There's a paper that goes along with this, okay? Rewind, watch the video when you come to a problem if you're stuck, and try to get yourself to work through it. Have your folks sit down with you and try to work through them. It takes practice, but the more you practice, the better you're going to get. Keep working hard, Cardinals. I'm proud of you.